fasted cardio in. I got up having a bit of vertigo because I do have Meniere's disease and I don't really get it that often. But definitely having it this morning, felt like, man, I can't get up and squat and deadlift. I slept in and went back to bed for a bit. Feel like I can actually walk now, but I do have to be a little bit careful of it. So again, I do need to get my cardio in either way. I thought about just getting on the bike, and if this gets to be too much, I'll go back in and get on the bike. But the thing is, I was thinking of adjusting my programming a little anyways and just messing with full body 4 or 5 days a week. I'd been thinking it through. I'm like, you know what? This gives me a good chance to do that. It breaks up the routine. And come in and just have some set of exercises I do that are interchangeable. I would either just squat or deadlift if I do that each day. I'm not going to do them both every day. I can always just start a workout with that. Then I can always, pick a bench or a dip, pull up or a row, so on. The lifts I do want to really push hard, though, is going to be the barbell curl and the pullover. So I'll probably do those every workout, no matter what. Probably calf raise too. So also making me realize I need to think through, because I know that my calorie deficit is definitely bigger than the rate I'm dropping on the scale. I mean, I'm dropping pretty well, but I feel like my deficit's definitely bigger than that. I think especially with this, I almost feel like I may need to just adjust what I'm doing on the calories a hair, meaning I'm probably doing too much protein, not quite enough carbohydrate. Bump that up. I'm going to see if actually just bumping that a hair gives me a whoosh. And I think also because of the way I'm doing that, because of the nature of that type of diet, really low fat, I may just whatever I do in the morning for fasted cardio. I'll try to get my 3 hours most days, but I feel like trying to do fed cardio is not working really well with what I'm doing. Because again, I want to kind of relax and then just work and get work done while I eat. So I think the adjustment I need to make, I don't need like 300 grams of protein. I can bump some carbs over, and I actually have a feeling that if I do that, I will see a whoosh. Right? I actually have a feeling I'll whoosh down if that happens. And the reason being, because again, just cortisol and the whole thing. Because I mean, it's been coming down and I keep getting whooshes. I eventually went up in weight and then it drops whoosh, 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 like sometimes 2 pounds at a time. So, and I feel like kind of looking where I'm at, it's definitely still a bit of a water retention thing. Even though I can tell I'm getting dramatically leaner, the waist is getting smaller, there's definitely a little bit of water retention. So I'm not really changing the diet plan so much as I need to adjust the intake just a little bit. And again, since I'm doing intermittent fasting with nearly very, very low fat, it's really not going to be a big deal to just bump the carbs a little bit in that feed window to make sure I can accommodate all the training. I think especially if I go over and mess with the full body again in the mornings, because I'll be doing that fasted still. And we'll do fasted cardio on those mornings too. But I do feel like with that, there's going to be days like my training days. If I only hit 2 hours of cardio, so be it. Right? If we only hit 2 hours, no big deal. My non-training days, I can always take it up higher. Right? The main thing for me, though, I do want to do all of it fasted, because that's the one thing I do notice as far as what I'm doing with the nutrient partitioning and how I feel. I don't feel good during the fed cardio because I'm so used to lifting fasted, and it seems like my fasted cardio, I'm getting better and better. I'm getting to where now, 3 hours of fasted cardio, not a big deal, right? So it tells me, whereas in 30 minutes of fed cardio is excruciating. So again, it's kind of telling me I function better with all my exercise when I'm completely fasted. So, okay, good morning. How you doing, man? Not getting a morning walk in, skip the training. I was having a bit of vertigo. I'm like, I'm not getting under a squat bar or deadlifting with that. And I went back to bed. So normally I would be in the gym an hour ago lifting. I'm just now getting up and really getting cardio done. So So got the crown. Yeah, you did. Well, you're the first poster. You gotta have the crown. You're the only one posting so far. That's how it works, brother. You're the one who's posting. You're the one who gets the crown. But yeah. So we'll see how this session goes. I'm surprised the walking is going really well. I was a little worried at first because I was kind of dizzy. I'm like, it's gonna be a problem. But I think definitely if I'm getting a little bit of my Meniere's symptoms, that means there's some water retention happening, which means cortisol is up. So probably need to bump carbohydrates up a hair, see if we can push it back down. And then I think if I do that, we'll see a nice little whoosh on the scale in a couple days. And it'll keep coming down. Right? But yeah, my energy turnover is going to be crazy high. That's kind of when I was doing the math. I'm like, guys, normally my maintenance is, high 3,000s. And it's like, I'm only losing 2 pounds a week on lower calories than normal, like 2,800, right? Plus doing easily over 1,000 calories of cardio every day. Something's not adding up. So, and I looked leaner this morning too again. I didn't wish I was 215 again. So I have a feeling after this cardio, if I go way in, I'm going to be way down. It's funny how that works. Versus when I woke up, because it was like 215.2 or whatever, which is fine. But we want to get to that. The goal is to get to that 200 and then assess, right? All right. So yeah, we'll just keep chicken and ricing it up. But yeah, it's kind of a point where I'm like, I know based on all the research, knowing my body, I could drop down under 200 grams of protein a day and be just fine. So I definitely need to get those carbs up a little more. And like I said, I'm eating all of it during a fed window, doing almost all the training and cardio fasted anyways. And there's no way to store any of that carbohydrate as fat. It's why these guys on the sugar diet are getting away with what they do. So if I won't have the metabolic disadvantage of a bunch of fructose, just hit starches. Nice clean fuel source. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, I'm doing the math, and the scale technically should be dropping even faster than it is. So something is off. I think I'm retaining water from cortisol being up, because only 2 pounds a week is not mathing with the math in my normal maintenance. Morning, Chad. Yeah, Chad, you're a regular. I skipped lifting today. My Meniere's was acting up a little bit, and I was having vertigo. I'm not getting under a squat or deadlift bar. So I went back and got an extra 45 minutes of sleep. I'm just going to cardio it, and I'm just going to go to full body 4 to 5 days a week, middle of the week now. I've been thinking about it anyways. I kind of have a game plan for it. I know how to make it work. We're going to go old school Blaha, Three lifts of body, 3 sets of muscle group. That's if I count pullovers as triceps only, all right? And just do them 4 to 5 days a week. Yeah. Also, if I count deadlifts as quads. So I'm either just kind of deadlift for 3 sets or squat for 3 sets, start of every workout and then jump into it. I'm gonna go a little old school. Have fun with it. I think that's what I want to do for a bit. But yeah, I've got to adjust the food. Definitely cortisol's up, and I'm eating too much protein really at this point. So I need to get those carbs up a hair. I bet you the scale will drop when I do. Right? Not that, like I said, not that 215 is bad. I mean, we're down quite a bit, but I'm getting signs of water retention, both with my medical condition. Right? And I'm not doing any substances that would cause that. So seeing the signs of my medical condition and the scale dropping slower than it should. So I'm probably pushing the deficit a little too hard. You know, although that's not necessary for me to lose the amount of body fat I need to lose per week. It's just not required. Yep. Oh man, so how about you, Chad? How you doing? This is going to be a slow stream. There's almost no one in here. Almost nobody in here. Yeah. But I think the other setup will work out better. It'll keep my total EPOC a little higher, because then we'll either squat or deadlift every weekday morning first thing. All right. Been a lot of stuff looking at all that too, including muscle protein synthesis, protein needs post-workout, whether people split or did full body. Plus we also, have to factor in a lot of the data showing we get such diminished returns per workout. So I'm gonna give it a try, go back to my higher frequency full body. At least for the cut, see how it feels. Not like I'm worried about not making optimal gains if it's not perfect. But I used to train like that all the time, and I got pretty strong, even back in the UK, and pretty big, all things considered. I mean, I did full body most of the time. Still got my squat to 500, right? Which I don't know that I ever need do I even need a 500 squat anymore? It'd be nice. But we just got to get them cuts. So yeah, it'll be a lot more old school physique type training. Just do full body every time I train. Don't worry about the split. Just make sure every muscle gets at least 3 sets every time I'm in the gym. 4 or 5 times every week. I think it'll be good to go. And just not neglect biceps and stuff, right? Like we used to. Yeah. How about you guys? There's been very, very little comments here. We're also down to 1 bar. We never have 1 bar this time of day. Something's not right. Something's not right there. Oh well. At least we're getting one of these in done outside anyway. Which is what I like to do. The problem is when it's low views this early, I do lose a connection. There's nobody to tell me. I have no way of knowing if I lost it, because I only know when someone says something. All right, guys, come on, give me a like, give me comments. The views are coming up. Let's get some engagement here. Weird flex. Have you ever run more than TRT? I may get to the point where I don't even discuss that topic at all. I mean, realistically, weird. Me discussing that technically hurts my outreach. I feel like, I hate to say it, but you know what? I would have made a lot more money lifetime had I just said natural like everybody else. Wouldn't I? Wouldn't I have been a lot better off? I'm not trying to, tell anyone to be dishonest, but that's the climate we live in, unfortunately. And I don't know how we get around that. Right, I can make all the discussion I want about quality of living. I can make all the discussion of marriage to TRT, but literally, as soon as you even admit that, right? As soon as you even admit that, there's a problem. Jason, do you think Ronnie Coleman had the worst midsection? No. I mean, they all look pretty bad today. Like, nobody has a good midsection, but they all look pretty bad. Even the current guys are like, oh, the bubble gut's gone. No, it's not. Bubble gut is not gone. I don't see anybody with a waistline up there looking like Arnold or Frank Zane. So I'd say they all have the worst in history, the last, 20 years. But by the same token, you're talking about a guy who won the Olympia over and over. You need to ask that question. Kind of a silly question if you think about it. Objectively, he just didn't. You know, they probably wouldn't have been giving him all those wins. Coach, what are the different muscles work in a safety bar squat good morning and a barbell good morning? It's not different muscles, it's just a different emphasis. You're gonna work more upper back with the SSB. There's no way around that. So middle back, mid traps, the T-spine's all gonna get worked harder. Your neck is gonna get worked on the SSB. Anyone who doesn't realize that, there's a reason a lot of people who use the SSB a lot get into training their neck, the neck extensions, right? Think about it. Guys who go light on it don't get it. Guys who've never had more than 150 pounds on the SSB don't understand. Anybody who's done reps with 300, they know what I'm talking about. It is a neck exercise too. But it's a shift in the center of gravity. You're going to have that. Obviously, you're going to be more limited up there and a little less hamstring and stuff. You know, it's still going to work all of it though. And that's what you have to remember with something like that, Chad. They're all being worked. The same muscles are being worked, other than maybe the neck and upper traps get more work with the SSB because the barbell's below that. But barring those, it's the same muscles. It's just the ratio shift. It's like, here would be a perfect example. It would be like asking which muscles get worked on a wide grip bench and which muscles get worked on a closed grip bench. Well, it's the same muscles. It's just there can be an emphasis. But even then, when they look at EMGs, there's only a difference in those and untrained lifters, isn't it? When they do competitive power lifters, that's what was fascinating to me when they just check EMG activity. It's just not the be all end all, of course, right? When actual competitive power lifters have EMGs hooked up to all their muscles and they do bench press with 3 different grips all the way closed, all the way out wide, is there any difference in muscle activation? They're identical muscle activation in that case on the EMG. Which is, again, fascinating. I guess it has to do with just higher neural drive. Higher neural drive, you just use everything more on a compound. But SSB, it's just a matter of, obviously the only new muscles that are being worked is the upper traps and the neck on the SSB that you're not going to get on the barbell. Otherwise, same muscles, just more emphasis on posterior chain with the barbell, a little more for the middle and upper back on the SSB. And obviously much lighter weight. Some guys can squat as much on an SSB as a barbell. Nobody good mornings as much. It'd be up to 100 pounds difference once you get pretty strong, right? Do you like 10x3? Not anymore. No, I think it's too much. If you're wanting to do enough volume on an exercise to maximize hypertrophy, just do more reps. I used to do 10x3s, and they're great for a lift that you want to get your strength up on while still really pushing hypertrophy. But it's just the impact on recovery. It's really going to limit what all else you can do in that workout a lot. I mean, I used to use it, and I used to promote it, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. Just be aware it's going to limit hypertrophy because you're going to use so many resources on that one lift in terms of just beating you up. If it's actually heavy triples, you don't have anything left for other stuff. Jason, I know you're not a boxer, but does weight training negatively affect their punching mechanics? I want you to think that through for a moment. How? And what would the anecdote tell you? So So instead of thinking that through for a minute, think through what we know in the anecdote. How many boxers historically got dramatically, objectively better when they started lifting weights? Do you see any modern boxers other than maybe in the tiniest weight train a lot who are winning anything? Right? So there's your answer. I mean, even if I were to come up, so this is why when people come up with hypotheticals, they'll say, well, this must be causing this, but you don't see it appear in the real world. You see the opposite. That's where you see, that mechanism goes away. It's just silly, right? What's the main cause of quad tears? I've heard people who tear quads 97% of the time in terms of steroid. Why do you guys always say steroids instead of just naming the specific drugs? Because that's a really silly statement. To say that steroids as a general category contribute to tears when some of them actually make tendons stronger doesn't make sense, does it? So you guys should always throw in the term steroids that weaken tendons specifically or crashing your E2 levels, right? So aromatase inhibitors can contribute. So, setting that aside, I mean, can you really visualize nandrolone or primobolan contributing to a tear? Come on. I mean, when you look at the data we have on those substances, that's kind of a silly statement. They're going to do the opposite, right? All right. But mortal, you're forgetting there's lots of drugs that make tendons stronger also, that directly, just on their own. That's part of their function. So you can't just make a statement like that. Number one cause of quad tears going to be overtraining, too many partials, knee wraps, trenbolone. Not saying other drugs can contribute, but tren is usually the culprit. Coach, my merit is doing 20 rep sets on squats is too fatiguing. Man, I think it's too much for most people. I mean, don't get me wrong, a 20 rep squat's fun sometimes. I used to do them, but there's only so much you're going to be able to do after that. I mean, 20 rep squat programs are cool and they can work. That's the OG stuff. But I mean, how often are you doing it? You got to kind of plan your training around that a little bit. But I don't want to dismiss them because they have been brutally effective in getting guys big. You got to know how to approach it. Now, there's definitely merit to it. But, you better be in shape. That's a good way to put it. Oh, what's your opinion on? I don't. Good morning, Matthias. Good morning, BRT. Let's get those likes up, guys. Now we're getting more comments. We only got 3 likes. Let's get this flowing. Come on, guys. I don't have an opinion on trips. Why are you bringing him up? He's not, well known. He's in little tiny circles. Nobody cares. I don't have an opinion. All right. That's my opinion. My opinion is I just don't really have an opinion. All right, Matthias just hit like. Appreciate it, Matthias. And likes are always appreciated. The love is always appreciated, guys. Yep. All right. I feel like my phone uses more battery when I do these outside. Is there any mechanism by which that could happen? When I just time the amount of charge it uses on a walk outside versus inside, it seems like it uses more battery up. Appreciate the like, Carol. Appreciate the like, Matthias. I don't know. using your cellular data versus Wi-Fi, does that use more battery somehow? Interesting take, an interesting question to which I does not have the answer. Right? I don't know. But what I do know is I'm seeing one bar, and that's worrying me a little bit. Right? That's worrying me a little bit. I shouldn't be having that at 7 a.m. Something's wrong. But morning to you, Philip. Thoughts on riptide style of training for someone who is around the late novice stage 250 bench? No, I'd go over to some other programming. I mean, what are your goals? I guess here's my question. You asked me about a training style, but you didn't state objective goals. Morning, Coach. What's up, Lars? You know, I mean, let's just be fair. Like, if you use just starting strength as it is, you can expect to have small arms, right? There's no barbell curl. There's no curls in the program. You know. So I would ask, what are your goals? You know, what are you trying to achieve here? Like I could quite frankly at this point, if I redid something as a new novice program, oh man, I'd probably just revamp strong lifts and throw barbell curls in, and maybe some pullovers, right? That would pretty much do it. Like seriously, like how many dudes would do better? They just did something like strong lifts as it is. We added pullovers and barbell curls. Goal is general strength and size for someone who's active duty military. Probably fine then. Okay. Obviously, you're not following the rib-toe diet area approach, just the training, because if you get fat, they're going to kick you out of the military. So you got to get up to 230 pounds to be a man. Got to drink a gallon of whole milk every day. No, otherwise, yeah, for your goal, it's probably okay. Like if you're coming and telling me you want to hit elite lifts, or you're trying to have a really impressive physique, I'm going to say, yeah, it's a problem. But just general strength for where you're at, it's okay for now. I would move on to something else reasonably soon, though. All right. My problem with anyone who follows any of their stuff is honestly just lack of accessory work. So even I got people like, well, the Texas method, I'm like, where's the curls? Where's the other stuff? Like, there's you're not going to build the muscle you want everywhere off of it. But why is it people pop their quad tendons doing 700 pounds for a max? Or even pecs for 500 bench, can the body just not handle the weight? Well, now we're getting into other questions, Mortal. But okay, you asked what's the primary reason for quad tears. Now you jumped over into the most extreme, far extremes you can imagine, right? So you needed to say that. So Mortal, you got to qualify these statements. You just said, what's the most common cause of quad tears? I mean, your grandma could tear a quad. I mean, your bro at the gym who's on trend could tear a quad on 405 if he's taking a bunch of AIs and trend, right? See what I mean? Now we're talking elite 900-pound squatters. All right, are they wearing knee wraps? There's your big culprit. That's tear city. Like knee wraps, you know, knee wraps and quad and adductor tears go together like peas and carrots, you know? They just kind of, I just assume that anyone who competes in knee wraps is fine with a 10 times higher risk of a tear. That's what they choose to compete in that division. That alone contributes to tears. Training too many partial lifts too heavy though. So that'll do it, because you're overloading the tendon with more weight than it can handle. It drops too low one time, it tears. So if you squat super heavy too high, it can be the sheer amount of weight, but there's usually some tendon weakening going on. Usually the specific drugs, you know, combined with crashed estrogen levels, too many AIs. Usually, so in bodybuilders, it's going to be the trend in the AIs, and on powerlifters, it's going to oftentimes be, you know, too many partials combined with trend. Trend is the culprit very frequently. It's like Eddie Bolton. Eddie Bolton said every time he's been hurt, he was on trend. So not Eddie, but Andy Bolton. He said that one time. He says, every injury I've ever had, I was on significant amounts of trend every time. Cruiser, how are you defining upper chest? Are you talking about just here? You're talking about here, because this is not upper chest anymore. Or do you need to be very specific? Do you mean the upper part of the pec major, or do you mean the pec minor, the little bitty muscle under here? Because if you're just talking about the pec major itself, just build the whole chest. Bench press, dips, stuff like this, right? They'll build the upper chest also. Like dips and bench press build the upper chest just fine. They build it just as much as the incline does. Now, if you really want to hit that pec minor though up there, really double down on it. Incline work, overhead pressing, front raises. But yeah, if you're just talking about the pec major in general, just get a bigger chest. Like your upper chest will grow with it. You can't target the lower half more. That's a myth. So when you go to different levels of decline, you're not working the upper versus lower chest in terms of the major big muscle. You're just using less delt. Much difference. Yeah, there can be. I generally prefer the barbell and recommend the barbell. And I know plenty of experts. Here's the thing. So look at even evidence-based guys with advanced degrees in the field. How many of them still support the barbell who are reasonably jacked people? I don't know if you've caught that. You'll get people like, well, the dumbbells. People say they feel dumbbells more because they can't. It's harder to cheat on a dumbbell, right? Guys who will claim to be chasing hypertrophy, they will ego lift when they get to a barbell, and then they wonder why it doesn't build more chest. Well, they're clearly not trying to bodybuild with it. You can watch the way they train with it. Barbell has more total potential for loading, really. So it really does. Dumbbells are really hard to use as a primary unless you're going to just only ultra high reps. You just have more loading potential for more stable big sets, so I think it's generally better. Dumbbells for a secondary. But the problem is people don't know how to bench correctly. And then they're like, so if you have someone who says they don't feel their chest on the bench as the main muscle being worked, like that, they don't feel it more than anything else, they don't know how to bench press for bodybuilding purposes, right? They're not stacking their wrists. They've got the bar in their palm somehow. They'll even pull this, why use the false grip, also called suicide grip. They use a false grip, but then the bar's still rolled back. And I'm like, yeah, you're still making it into a shoulder exercise. More so. They bounce the bar off their chest, right? So If you do a soft touch or you do a pause, you stack the bar correctly, you don't grip crazy wide, just a wide grip to a medium grip, you'll build your entire chest just fine on the bench with a barbell. I would argue it may be better than the dumbbell. Again, just because of loading potential without too much of a stability issue. Dumbbells, and I'm not saying stabilization prevents loading, because otherwise I'd be like, oh, machines, guys. But with dumbbells as a primary, your odds of having a stabilization issue with the amount of weights you really need to get good stimulus, it gets more difficult. Now, as a secondary, it's fine. Actually, guys, you lift on dumbbells and act like their feet just, yeah, I've seen that too. Remember when that one guy, Devin, he tore his pec, maxing on a dumbbell? He tore his pec right here for all of us on YouTube. But it's clown world. Like, you're looking at it, that was a clown lift. He should have never done that. One old timer set me straight and braided me in front of the whole gym. I'm good, Rufia, right? Coach, I bet. Hey, BRT, we don't need to talk about it for one. Number two, what makes you think most of them even lift? I don't think most of them work out at all. Coach, is the elbow tuck? No, because look at the shear stress. I don't think that it is, personally. And then you have the issue of the bar dropping out. It's just not worth it. Guys just need to learn how to grip correctly. Jason, recipe for 600 conventional and 3 best variations. I don't know if there is a recipe. 600 is, I'm going to agree with what Hooper said the other day, by the way. I don't think the average guy has the ability to deadlift 600 without drugs, straight up. The average guy genetically is never going to deadlift 600 without drugs. I don't care how hard they work. So really your recipe, hypertrophy. Really your recipe is to just build those muscles. Reverse hypers, good mornings, glute bridges, hip thrusts, rows, pull-ups. You need to build those muscles up. And then you obviously need to do some sort of heavy pulling in there. Do you walk to complete steps or just... I'm walking purely for the calorie burn. It used to be health, but I'm on a really serious cut doing three hours of cardio every day. I am walking purely to burn through fat calories while in a calorie deficit. That is the entire purpose right now. It's just calorie burn. All right. There's the upper limit for each of the big 3 average guy to lift without drugs. So average guy, all right, straight up, if you're 6'3", you're not the average guy. Average guy in America, and I don't care about other countries. I can't do demographics around the world and figure out everyone's leverage is in Indonesia. Okay, America. Oh, yeah. Assuming average height, so we're going to assume 5'7" to about 5'11", right? Why those numbers? That's 70% of the population is between there of men. 70% right there. No drugs, not getting particularly fat. Probably the 300, 400, 500 is reasonable lifetime goals with average genes and no drugs. I'm on the opposite side of the world, so I'm watching this on my night like, awesome, man. Plenty of people doing that. Coach, I've seen your latest back pick. It was tight. It's still not tight yet. I mean, compared to previously, but it's coming along. Like, give me a few more weeks. Like I said, I'm having to adjust today. I woke up really dizzy, a little bit of vertigo. I decided not to squat or deadlift. I'm going to shift to full body anyways. So it's not going to matter that I missed one. I'm going to do full body 4 or 5 days a week. I'm going to have to adjust my food a little bit. I'm probably doing too much protein and sacrificing too many carbs, and I feel like it's bringing my cortisol up, making me hold water. That can contribute to vertigo for me with my medical condition. So yeah, I feel like I'm just pushing too hard on that. And I know I'm holding water because I'm losing weight at a slower rate than what my calculated deficit would be. Like, I'm at least 500 or 600 calories a day deeper than what my scale shift's doing. So that tells me my cortisol is probably too high and I'm retaining water from it. So I don't need 300 grams of protein a day, guys. I just don't. I can replace that with some nice, clean, starchy carbs. And I don't know if 2,800 is good. I might bump it closer to 3,000, take it up to 3,000, and just do all my cardio fasted. So if I don't hit my 3 hours inside the fasted window, just chill with it. But we're gonna keep working. I'm just having to adjust based upon feedback from my body, because I got really motivated and started pushing harder. And my body is fighting back, not on the fat loss, but definitely that water retention, a little vertigo. So I need to just adjust so that my body will whoosh down, right? I think it's the best you ever look. Appreciate it, Marty. Well, why, 4 or 5 days? Yeah, so no, but it's not gonna be the same volume. So when I say a full body, I'm not gonna squat and deadlift. I'm gonna squat or deadlift and just count it as quads, or thighs, right? So I'll do 3 sets of one or the other. I'll probably do calves every day though. I'll do a chest press every day. At least 2 of them will be bench. We'll do a pull-up or a row. I'm gonna do pullovers and barbell curls every workout though. Those are kind of like staples I know I need. Yep. I mean, I used to do full body before. The main thing is not overloading any one muscle and just adjusting with the frequency. But I feel like for me with the fasted training, and I feel like with what I'm doing, it'll probably give me a little better just energy turnover, because I'll have worked the whole body all through the week every time. So the overall metabolic rate will be up. I feel like the same thing, especially if I'm doing calves all those days. So just do all that fasted. And what I'm gonna do, I think with the cardio, the non-training days, obviously, I'll squeeze in as much as I can. But I feel like on the training days, like doing what I did yesterday probably contributed. It was a training day. I did a lot of it outside in the heat. I had 3 hours of fasted cardio. And then I came back in the heat and did bonus cardio for a little bit. And it's like 95 degrees after I ate. I feel like that contributed to me waking up just being dizzy. It's not good. So I got to watch some of that. So we got to take that and say, oh man, I was motivated to push even harder. It's like, okay, that's dumb. Dial it back just a hair and keep coasting. Like we're doing great. I'm losing do I need to lose more than 2 pounds a week? No. Right. Well, if you do 3 sets a day, that's 12 a week. Well, that's 4. If I go 5, it'll be 15. But it depends on how we'll count the overlap. So I'm gonna do pull-ups every day. Or not pull-ups, I'm gonna do pullovers. That's definitely gonna be, obviously multiple muscles are being worked. So people say, but you're either benching or dipping with that. You're rowing or pull-ups with that. So technically chest and back and stuff will get more. Do we count the triceps? I don't know. Yeah, we got more people watching finally. So, half rack or full rack. Get the full rack, you're not gonna regret it, trust me on this. If you have the room, do not do a half rack. I was working with limited space when I did that half rack originally. Sounds good with your joints and tendons. They'll be fine because I'm not going heavy. Like everything is 5+ reps. I mean, it's not like we're going heavy. And, I think it'll be fine. It's when you really try to push hard. I think it'll be okay. I'm gonna mess with it and see. All right? And I think especially if I use just good form on everything, I used to compete. I am not thinking about that right now because I'm cutting. Yes, the answer is I will obviously compete again, but I have to focus on getting shredded right now. So that's not in my thoughts. It's not something I'm gonna really think about until Coach has got them deep abs going. We'll be here for the journey, looking forward to it. But I mean, yeah, it's been going good, pretty much mortal, but I definitely am seeing the signs. I am going a little too hard. And I can tell cortisol is definitely elevated to the point where I woke up too dizzy to squat or deadlift this morning. Like, let's go do some cardio. Let's think this plan through a little better. It's a good excuse to implement what I've been thinking of doing anyways, since I missed my rotation on a leg day. And then I don't have to worry about that. So I have weeks where I do 4, I do 5. Anything gets in the way, doesn't matter. I'm still just hitting everything. I think it'll work fine. I've done plenty of full body in the past successfully. I don't plan on doing a return these days of that 6-7 day a week training I used to do. How many days a week do you work out? Normally 4, but I'm about to adjust to 4 to 5 for the lifting with full body. Cardio does not count as working out. I do 3 hours of cardio a day right now. But I'm also cutting. So context, people say, what do you do? You ask what I do right now or what did I do 3 months ago? They're not the same thing. They're very goal specific. Exactly, you can just scale it back, and that's the whole thing. And I'm realizing that with the diet. I'm doing too much protein, not enough carbohydrate, and I think it made my cortisol go up. You know, do we really need that much protein? Although if anyone, sorry, I'm getting a little hoarse, that tells me also not good. When I woke up with vertigo. So again, my body needs a little more carb calories in this big of a deficit, right? But if anyone wants to order me some protein, by the way, guys, I do have my Amazon wish list up linked everywhere. If any of you guys want to buy me a tub of protein, though, that'd be awesome. Appreciate it. People have done it in the past. That's why I brought it up. It's funny. I got 2 different tubs in the past, but those were like in December. Is there any body type that has bad leverages on all the big 3? No. No, that doesn't even make sense. Like I can't visualize that. Because there's any limb ratio you change, it makes one lift worse, makes another easier. So that's just not possible. I guess what body type, someone missing in their arms or legs, that would be a problem. Just having a daily energy deficit that is too big is generally considered bad for keeping muscle mass. Well, I've kept all of it so far, but I think I'm now getting to that point where I need to watch that. I need to be like, I don't think I need more than about 1,000 deficit a day. You should have you should have good leverage for at least one lift. Yeah, everybody has good leverages for at least one lift. Okay, because think about arms. The longer your arms are, the better you are at deadlift, but the worse you are at bench, and the other way around. See what I mean? So legs, longer legs make squatting harder, but deadlifting easier, has no effect on bench. So when you look at it that way, there's nothing that's really going to mess your total up. You may have a leverage that makes you suck at one lift. And then the people who are just in the middle with no extremes just have decent leverages for everything. So I guess technically that would be the best example. So a person with normal proportions has no advantage anywhere. They're evenly balanced. So that would technically be the worst, I guess, if you were talking about, because they're not going to be exceptional at any one lift from a leverage advantage. They're just going to be, they're not going to have the disadvantages on the others either. Yep. Well, Mortal, in that case, based on those leverages, you probably have a really big deadlift too, though, I would assume. Because if you have bad leverages for bench, it means you've got long arms. If you have great leverages for squats, you have short legs. Well, that should be even phenomenal for your deadlift. Why does getting fat help you bench so much? Reduces range of motion, changes internal leverages, right? Keep in mind, you're building fat underneath the pec muscles. You're building fat above the pec muscle. You're building fat through the pec muscle, right? It's cutting range of motion. shorter legs, but slender as hell arms. Sucks because my arms won't fill out. They'll fill out, you just got to keep working at them. Depending on person, I have long arms, long legs. We deadlift a lead bench. Yeah, but Chad, one, how much drugs are playing into that with the bench? Number two, did you train them all evenly from day one? Okay. I get guys who are like that. They were upper body bros their first 2 years in the gym. You see the issue with that? The guy didn't do any hamstring work his first 3 years in the gym. He's going to be way behind the curve even down the road, right? So it's just something to think about. And also keep in mind, drugs scale, androgens scale to the bench better than they do the deadlift. You know? But there's definitely going to be some variation. There's going to be some other genetic variations. People worry too much about leverages only. And I think that's, definitely a problem. Because you can always gain more muscle. Like if you got a bad leverage, okay, you can get bigger. Right? You got bad leverages for the bench, work on your pecs and triceps more. Okay, you got to move the weight a longer distance, but you got more meat to do it with. All right? But again, when we start talking about some of the stuff, we're only talking at the elite levels. Like, if you guys just get jacked, you'll have good lifts at everything. If you just build every muscle in your body, I don't care what your levers are, you're going to have a respectable squat, bench, and deadlift. If you just build your whole body and you practice those lifts. No, you may not be breaking records, but is that required? Like, to have a good bench, squat, bench, and deadlift, do you have to be competing at Worlds? Coach, what muscles do the reverse grip bench shift to? Honestly, I've never fully figured that one out. I've seen a lot of conjecture. I've looked at a lot of anatomy. I don't know that we have a true answer to that. Just because it's got some differences, I mean, it's not like the same muscles aren't being used, you know? Right? I mean, the same muscles are being used. So, you know, have to think on that one. I've seen it speculated a different part of the triceps get worked more. Upper chest and triceps, no, although I feel my shoulders. So exactly. So it just feels different. Are we even sure it's really working any muscles at a dramatically different ratio? It's probably pretty mild. Someone struggling with their knees caving on the squat is a good idea to lower the weight and squat down substantially and start doing it. Yeah, they probably could do more glute work, but yeah, they also should work on their squatting deeper in their toe position. Okay, you know. How many of the people who struggle with that knee valgus don't have their toes out enough? So it could be a muscle weakness. It could be a technique issue for your levers. You might not have your toes out enough, or you might have your stance too wide for your particular hips. So again, be careful on these fixes. Make sure that you know what's going on, because there's more than one thing that can cause that knee valgus to occur. You know. Well, you don't want to slowly bring it back up. You need to be doing hard sets. No, I'm not going to agree with that necessarily. You need to be pushing it hard, irrespective of that. Okay. You need to fix your technique the best you can and keep pushing the squat. But what do you mean bring it back down? So you're just going to do more reps? Because that's the problem. Someone says, well, I'm doing whatever 5 and it's caving really bad with 300. So what are you going to do by lowering the weight? You're not going to build muscle unless you increase the reps. So what you're going to do, go to 225, well, you're going to need to do sets of 10 or sets of 12. Otherwise, there was no point. You didn't do yourself any favors. So look at your technique, determine how much is technical. Are my toes not out enough? Or if they are out enough, am I squatting too wide for my structure? So you got to fix those two first, figure that out. Okay? You have to figure that out first and foremost. All right? Then you need to continue to work on the glutes and stuff. But what you don't need to do is to, the only way you're lowering the weight is if it's helping you go deeper. Now, if you're not squatting deep enough, then yes, lower the weight. But still keep one rep in reserve. But you kind of see my point. If all you're doing and not changing the range of motion or anything is lowering the weight to fix the form, you're not building muscle now. You're now wasting your time. You might as well just throw squats away. That would be my advice. Like if you feel that you need to reduce the weight so much on a squat that we're no longer getting effective hypertrophy reps, just throw the squat away and work on the other lifts and then come back to it then. Because you're wasting your time squatting at that point. It's a complete waste of your time if you're not building muscle doing it. Make sense? So I would just skip it until you're ready to come back and do it correctly. I know people like to make those corrections, but they're also forgetting we're losing a training response if the sets are so easy. We're not hitting the fast twitch fibers. It's a waste of time. Technique practice with really light weights not going to carry over to a max anyways. Minor point people forget. Because this is not a technical enough lift for that. This is not an Olympic lift. It's not a disjointed movement like that with triple extension and stuff. Practice with non-challenging reps doesn't really do anything in terms of really fixing your technique. Not to the degree that people think it does. Just my opinion, What do I know? I've only had a couple 600 plus pound roll squatters. Just clients. We never did any of that stuff. But if you're talking going lighter for one session, sure, just to get it down. But you need to be right back to immediately going heavy enough to get a training response relative to your reps, right? All right, guys. I think I'm about to get back home. The stream's a little slow. What's up, Dean? Dean, I'm heading back to my house, man. Heading back to the house. You missed the stuff early in the vlog. Felt too dizzy to train to lift today. Overexerted, I think, yesterday. Too much cortisol. I got to adjust what I'm doing. I need a little more carbs to get that cortisol down. That'll probably help me whoosh. Yeah, I'm just loading protein too hard and probably too big of a deficit. I need to just only do fasted cardio too. So if I get my 3 hours, great. If I exceed 3 hours, great. But once I eat, I need to just chill with any cardio and just soak up the carbs at that point. I told myself time to get back home. That's right. He said, what are you talking about, Nico? Well, no, we're closing in on an hour. So I'm gonna get back to the house. I'm gonna put the phone on the charger. All right. Well, we're not home yet. We're still a block away. But I'm gonna get some extra hydration, get my phone charging. We'll get some more cardio done after that. I feel a lot better though now. Got out, moved, breathed. Vertigo went away. It was still there a little bit when I started, but just the fresh air and stuff and moving helped. You guys are gonna make me sing that song. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had me a drink about an hour ago and it's gone right to my head. You guys remember Jaws? Yeah, Dean, we're not gonna lift today. I'm gonna rotate over to full body again anyways. So I'll do it 4 or 5 days a week. I've been thinking about doing it. I got a game plan. Me having to miss a day in my rotations, a good time to implement that. So, yep. Just got to be smart about it. Keep it in flow state. But yeah, I feel like I should whoosh pretty soon from all this once I reassort this, because I feel like I should have lost more weight than I have, and I know I'm holding water. So I have a feeling once I cut the protein down, bump the carbs up a little bit, make those adjustments, cortisol comes down, I'll probably drop a couple pounds. I'm hoping. We'll see. But yeah, the vertigo for me is a sign of water retention too, with my specific medical condition. It means I'm getting some extra cortisol-induced water retention. So I also getting a little bit of a head cold this morning. It tells me I'm probably going a little too hard on the deficit if I'm getting sick. So again, a little bit of extra carbs gets the immune health up. I know people are like, but you're already eating high carbs. No, but I'm not eating high carbs for my energy turnover. That's the point. My carbs are like 400 grams a day. I'm burning through 4,000 calories a day or more at this point. If I go off all my old maintenance method, it has to be more, considerably more. So we just need more carbs in our feeding window, which again, the beauty of the fasting and the way that works, I can probably bump the calories and keep just losing weight because my dietary fat's so low, especially with the fasted training every day. There's so much of it. So yeah, but we'll keep rolling that chicken and rice. Dean, I'm trying to convince people to send me more protein. Nobody's doing it. I'm like, yeah, there we go. Send Coach some protein powders, guys. All right. Dean Dean sent me protein as a birthday present before, by the way. He's a cool dude. I think protein's getting more expensive though, isn't it? I haven't looked. I think the cost is up. What? My wish list is everywhere, Dean. It should be underneath all my videos somewhere. Maybe not this one. Yeah, it should be somewhere under all the videos, I think, in the description. That's the problem. Maybe people aren't seeing it. I should link it somewhere again. All right, guys, I'm going to wind this down, and I'll talk to you here again shortly.